Tonight, we begin with the developing news from the health sector. The Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union has called off its strike after signing a return-to-work formula between them, the Ministries of Health and Labour and the Council of Governors. This coming just 4 days after the doctors downed their tools. However, the nurses and clinical officers are still on strike. Raquel Mwigai with the details of the long night of talks that yielded the deal.
It has been over 20 days of back and forth between the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union and their employers. However, 4 days into their strike, and a return-to-work formula has already been arrived at.
The strike by Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union has now been called off, and there will be no victimization of any member of KMPDU and all our members who have undertaken this action.
In the return-to-work formula, the Ministry of Health shall consider renewal of 116 doctors recruited to serve in COVID-19 isolation and treatment centres, as well as consider to establish permanent and pensionable terms for the 206 doctors working at the Kenyatta National Hospital on contract terms. All this, however, are subject to availability of funds.
The National Treasury will be required to fast-track funding for counties to procure a comprehensive group life, last expense, enhanced work injury benefits and group personal accident cover as provided for by NHIF, and also ensure that our members get comprehensive cover from the counties.
That expected to be arrived at by 28th February 2021. Other resolutions include that there will be unconditional release of all withheld salaries arising from the industrial action, that the employer provide adequate and quality personal and protective equipment to all doctors, that there be no arbitrary transfers and discriminatory assignments of duty to the leaders of KMPDU, and also continuation of the consultations between the Ministry of Health, Salaries and Remuneration Commission and the National Treasury to allow for the payment of the call allowance owed to doctors, including those placed at the public universities.
We are looking not just at dealing at the matters that we have got here on the tables and the issues we are dealing with, but generally improving healthcare in the country.
The government of Kenya, the Ministry of Labour, is always open for conciliation. Come to the table, we will facilitate engagement, productive engagement between employers and employees.
However, the end of the strike by doctors may not necessarily mean that health services in various parts of the country will resume normalcy, as nurses and clinical officers are yet to call off their strike. Until then, such scenes could continue to play out in affected health facilities. With Kenyans setting into the Christmas mood of merrymaking, the Ministry of Health has warned that ignoring health protocols during this period could see a spike in the number of COVID-19 infections. In the last 24 hours, 236 people have been infected with the virus, with another 4 persons succumbing to COVID-19. Just 4 days in and the Doctors' Union has called off their strike. However, that is not the case for nurses and clinical officers who are yet to secure a deal that will see them resume work. And on Christmas Day, they will be on their 19th day of the strike. Raquel Mwigai, Citizen TV, Nairobi.